everyone. I'm Richard Keck, and welcome to All Things Fantasy Football. Back after a couple of years being gone, so I haven't had a couple of videos out in a minute. Did a couple earlier for my other leagues. Today we are doing the preseason rankings for the Crab Dynasty Fantasy Football League. This was the third of 4 drafts for me of leagues with this format. The format being we initially auctioned off all the players. Those players go up 10% every year, so you have to stay under a certain salary cap. We draft rookies. They're on a pay scale similar to what rookies are in the NFL. And we have franchise tags the whole 9 yards. So it's like running a franchise. This was the original league of this format. It's a 2-draft system. We have our rookie draft right around a couple weeks after the NFL has their NFL draft, and then we do an auction draft to auction off the free agents. So it's like our free agent period signing. So today we are going to do the Crab League. Like I said, this is the first league of its kind, and this is year, I believe, 11 or 12. So we're going to start with our rankings for that league. 14-team league. We're going to count them back from 14 all the way back to number 1, and we'll give you a little bit of analysis along the way. So starting off at Team 14 is Nate Jones and his Pittsburgh Panty Droppers. This team's in a rebuild mode. I think he's in the process of acquiring some draft picks whenever possible, getting some young players, getting rid of the old players. So not a lot is expected of this franchise this year. I have not checked to see if he's got all of his draft picks for next year, but definitely you can tell that it's in a rebuild mode. Quarterback-wise, he is definitely set, even for a few years, with Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy. Also added Russell Wilson. So he's definitely set for the quarterback. Probably the best case scenario would be to trade off one of these guys to somebody who's struggling and has a quarterback weakness going on their roster. Especially if something happens during the season. So if something happens during the season and someone needs a quarterback, this would probably be the team that they would go to acquire one. At the running back position, real thin here. Has Bucky Irving on his taxi squad, which I like. But as far as the only ones on the roster, we're looking at Antonio Gibson, Kenneth Gainwell, Donta Foreman, and Jerome Ford. So not a whole lot on there. Not a lot as far as starting guys. Maybe you start Antonio Gibson and then run 4 wide receivers. If you can even find 4 wide receivers on the roster. Again, this one is definitely in a rebuild mode. Receiver wise, you got Tyler Boyd. He's was one of the higher scoring receivers for this team last year. Adam Thielen, who's getting up there in age. I believe Adam Thielen's like 31 or 32. Actually, he's 33. And turns 34 here very soon. So, Adam Thielen is definitely creeping up there to hitting that brick wall time. Mike Williams is on the roster. Calvin Ridley also getting up there a little bit. I want to say Calvin Ridley's in the 29 range, turns 30 this year. It seems like Calvin Ridley's career just went by in a blink like that, didn't it? Johan Dotson's also on the roster. Then you get to the tight end, and Daniel Bellinger's a keeper. Everything else is a bunch of older guys. So again, this team's at a rebuild. Not much is expected. Hopefully he's got his draft pick because it's going to be near the top next year. So 14, Pittsburgh Panty Droppers. At 13, another team that's in a rebuild. They've done well to add players, and with some of the players they had, they're probably not going to finish at the 13th spot, but you just gotta, you gotta rank them here until you see things happening. But I got the Durham Blue Angels, Ryan and Becca Winchell from this team. He's got Kyron Williams and James Cook at running back. That alone's probably not going to mean he's going to be the 13th place team. I'm only putting him here mainly because of all the youth on this team, which I absolutely love. Those 2 running backs to go with Jordan Love, who's a young quarterback. He's also got Baker Mayfield and J.J. McCarthy. Did great to fill the quarterback room. Filled up the running back roster with Blake Corum in the rookie draft. Also has A.J. Dillon that they got in the auction. So definitely there's plenty of backs there. Samaje P. Ryan, plenty of backs there that this team's probably not going to finish 13. This is just the starting point because it is a team in a rebuild. So receiver-wise, I love they went out and got Malik Neighbors. I think he's going to be an absolute stud. He's there. Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman. Did fantastic adding some youthful wide receivers. Devontae Walker was another guy I like that they got in the rookie draft. So great guys. They're all just really young. You're sending them out there with Brandon Cooks and Noah Brown. Those are the top 2 point getters for this team last year. And then you got a bunch of rookies. So they're ranked here because of the rookies, but I think if those rookies hit, this is going to be a team that will definitely improve throughout the year and throughout the next couple seasons. So that's the 13 Durham Blue Angels. Coming at number 12, probably the lowest I've ever had him ranked. It's Motor City Machine Guns. And LaRon's in kind of the same boat. He's got almost everyone on his roster is on a rookie pay scale because of he just had so many draft picks. And I don't think he's going to finish at 12 because he's got guys on his taxi squad that I think are probably going to be starting by year's end for him. At quarterback, he's got Patrick Mahomes. How can you possibly be ranked 12 and be have Patrick Mahomes? He's got Derek Carr. He's got Bo Nix on taxi. Running back wise, he drafted Jonathan Brooks in the auction. He went out and got Ezekiel Elliott in the. He drafted Jonathan Brooks in the rookie. Got Zeke Elliott in the auction. Has James Conner, so he's got a couple real high price running backs there. So he's to put those with Jonathan Brooks, he's probably going to have three running backs that he rotates in and out all year. Wide receivers went out and got DeAndre Hopkins. He's going to miss some time, and this is where the weaknesses show for his team. The guys that are on his active roster. I mean, you're looking at Rashad Bateman, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, and not much else after that. But his taxi squad, he added Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy. All those guys will probably be starting by the end of the year because they're all fantastic guys, unless he's losing and he decides to leave them there for the year. But I think all those guys are going to be great. So we'll see what happens. But this is probably the lowest I've had LaRon in quite some time, ranked down at number 12, the Motor City Machine Guns. Number 11, I have the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. And this is pretty low for them too, considering last year they were a playoff team. Not saying they can't be a playoff team again this year. Jared Goff's their starter. Will Levis, Sam Darnold, their other two. Nothing to write home about on those ones. Starting running backs, they're going to go with Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris. And that's probably about it. They got some other pieces that they can plug and play out. Tyler Algier, Keaton Mitchell, Kendre Miller if Kamara goes down, Tyjae Spears. Nothing spectacular though. So it'll be literally Kamara and Harris for them to start. Wide receiver wise, Chris Godwin is the best on the roster. And after that, you're looking at maybe Zay Flowers, Gabe Davis are not too bad. Jacoby Myers. So no true superstars, but guys that definitely can get it done and get the points for you. Tight end, maybe Jonnu Smith might be the guy, or maybe one of their rookie pickups, Theo Johnson or Jatavian Sanders. So nobody special at tight end, but a lot of things can happen. This is another team that has been rebuilding. It's got a lot of young players, so I have a lot of those teams that all group together, and we've got them here at the end because you don't know who's going to hit and who's not. So that's the number 11 Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Coming in at number 10 is a team that I had a little higher when I first did the rankings. I have the Lansing Krogers here at number 10. Initially I had them at 7, and then I saw he starts instantly trading off his players, so I'm not sure where this team's going to be by the time the season starts, so we had to drop him down a little bit. So quarterback, we got Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Sam Howell. Got both Seattle quarterbacks to back up Cousins. Running backs, the only ones on the roster right now are Brian Robinson, DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Walker, which are all pretty good. He had Gus Edwards on there and traded him for a couple third-round picks, which, probably not a terrible trade. Just the timing is, why you're going to get your team together and even before week 1 not play him. It's not like you have an overwhelming depth at this position. So I thought it would probably be a better idea just to keep them. But, the deal's done. He's moved on. So those are the only 3 backs. Wide receiver, he's definitely got a few more options at wide receivers. Got DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Mari Cooper. Also got George Pickens there. So got some good options there at wide receiver to play every week. Tight end, he's got TJ Hawkinson on his injured reserve. And then looks like he's going with Hunter Henry until further notice. So not a bad team overall. You got to count on Kirk Cousins coming back and being healthy, or roll with old man Geno Smith. This is definitely a team that's going to have to invest in a quarterback position as these guys are getting older. I'm pretty sure he had C.J. Stroud at one point, and moved on from that. But things happen, deals happen, players change hands. So that's why I have this team at number 10, because you never know where it's going to be when seasons start. So number 10, Lansing Krogers. 9th place team, I have Columbus Crush. Seems also kind of low for him, as I'm pretty sure Mike makes the playoffs almost every year, if not every year. I'd have to go back and check that to see if he's missed and how often he's missed. Quarterback, he's kind of hurting at the position a little bit. He has Anthony Richardson, which I think is going to have it'd be a fantastic start. But remember, last year only played like 3 or 4 games, and after that he was injured and out for the year. So if that were to happen again, his backups are Justin Fields and Aiden O'Connell, and is Justin Fields right now is not the starter. Aiden O'Connell may be the starter, may not be the starter. So just gotta hope Anthony Richardson stays healthy. It seems like. At running back, just traded for Gus Edwards. I think he's a good start. Raheem Mostert, it's a good start, even though he's getting up there in age. He's 32. Yep, or just turned 32 this year, so he'll be 32 throughout this entire season. He does have J.K. Dobbins to go with Gus Edwards, so he's got to make sure he's got both of them. Other than that, not a whole lot on this roster as far as the running back position. He's got some guys to maybe if someone goes down, but right now that hasn't been the case. Sorry about that. And at wide receiver, we're looking at, that's where he's got a little bit better off. He's Christian Kirk, Cooper Kupp, Terry McLaurin, Jerry Jeudy. Picked up Donnie Mitchell and Xavier Legette in the rookie draft. So he's got a couple options there. He definitely has more options at receiver, and you can tell he's got some guys that are a lot younger in Mitchell, Legette. He's got Jalen Wright on his taxi squad. So he's got some young, youthful players, which bodes well for his future. Tight end, rolling with Dallas Goedert this year. Not much else along that line at the tight end position right now. Overall, a pretty decent team, but not as good as what Columbus has put on the field in past years. So, number 9, the Columbus Crush. The number 8 team is the El Equipa Free Willies. This is a team that probably could have been better than they were last year, but they kept a couple guys on their taxi squad that balled out. And one of those was Devin Achane, and the other one was Puka Nacua. Well, he's moved those guys up into the active roster now. Made a couple trades. Kyler Murray's a starting quarterback. He's got Caleb Williams and Bryce Young on his taxi squad, so the future looks good for him there. At running back to go with Achane, he has David Montgomery, which I love, Jalen Warren. He added Damian Pierce in the rookie draft, Elijah Mitchell, or in the auction draft. He added Elijah Mitchell in the auction draft, so added some guys that give him a little bit of depth. But Achane and Montgomery are probably going to be his workhorses. Maybe a little Jalen Warren sprinkled in there too. At wide receiver, he's got Puka Nacua that he can start every week. He has Rashid Shaheed. Drafted Jalen Polk, who I've heard has looked really good in training camp. Josh Palmer, somebody's got to be that number one in LA. Drafted Roman Wilson in the rookie draft. So he had a lot of picks, got a lot of decent rookies. He's also got Ricky Pearsall. If they trade Ayuk from San Francisco, that'll be a good fit for him. So looks really good at that position. Again, nothing that'll knock your socks off other than Puka, but you don't have to have a lot. You just got to have some plug and play guys, and he's got plenty of those. Tight end, he's stacked at the tight end position. He has Trey McBride, Pat Freiermuth, and also drafted Brock Bowers in the rookie draft. Very, very stacked at this position. So, he could always trade one of these tight ends, for a mid to upper tier wide receiver. So, I wouldn't count that out for this team as well. So that is the number 8 team, the Aliquippa Free Willies. The number 7 team currently is vacant. I need to talk with one of our owners about that. We had a guy fill in right before we did our auction draft. He decided it wasn't for him, which is no big deal. But right now it's called the Delta Chanticleer. Probably won't be called that by the time our season starts. But we've got him at the number 17. I went ahead and filled his team from the in the auction portion of the draft, because the last thing you want to do is get a new owner and then say, oh, by the way, and you have to learn all the rules and have to do all this auction stuff right now. So figured it'd be easier to give someone a completed filled team and say, here's your team, and now you got time we'll figure out the rules and figure out the trading and all that stuff like that. So it's better for the league. And the reason I preface that by saying that is this team needed a quarterback super bad. And there was one in the auction, and I needed another quarterback as well. But for the good of the league, I used this team's money to go out and get that quarterback, and that was Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, and then he has Jaden Daniels as well. So again, this team last year lost games because it didn't even have a quarterback to start, because it had Desmond Ridder and it had Garoppolo, and just none of those guys were the starting quarterback at any given time. So when you can't even start a quarterback, it just takes away the fun of part of the league and stuff like that. And the previous owner has vacated the league now, and the team itself is a pretty good team. It just needed that quarterback position. So drafting Jaden Daniels in the rookie draft and getting Aaron Rodgers in the auction has made this a team that an owner can be proud of taking over. At the running back position, like I said, good team. Got Zach Moss, who's the starter in Cincinnati, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, and then I went ahead and used their money to get some guys in the auction that were hit or miss. Probably most of these guys are going to miss, but all you got to do is get lucky on one, and all of a sudden now you're talking about a team that's contending for a playoff. You added Miles Sanders, Cam Akers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Jamal Williams. All 4 of those in the last 2 to 3 years were either drafted really high or had seasons where they produce very, very well. So there's no when you have as you guys all know, when you have that auction and you have that money, it does you no good to carry it over. So you might as well just spend it and then just see what happens. So got 4 of those guys to go with Etienne, Moss, and Ramondre Stevenson, and if one of those hits, now you're talking. Doesn't even need all of them, just one of them. Wide receivers, team is really good at wide receiver. Has Nico Collins, Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton. So all 3 of those guys are pretty good guys. Picked up Juju Smith-Schuster in the auction. So again, that's another guy that if he hits, fantastic for you. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Also on the taxi squad has Jackson Smith and Jigba. So there's another wide receiver sitting there for him. So this is a pretty decent team. And then tight end, Jake Ferguson for Dallas. So very good team sitting here. Like I said, I have a guy in mind for taking over this, and I think it by getting those quarterbacks for this team, I think we made it so that this is one that the person will want to walk into and take ownership of. So that's our number 7 team, the Delta Chanticleer, with no owner. Coming in at number 6 is the Crystal Meth team. That is Shane Peterman's team. Little weak at quarterback because I'm not very thrilled with Daniel Jones or Deshaun Watson. But again, this is a one QB league. If you're strong in the other spots, you should be able to make up for that lack of quarterback play. Just get a guy that gets you 17, 18, 20 points, somewhere around there. Running back looks good. Javonte Williams, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs. Those are three stellar dudes that you can put out every week. So he's good in that. Excuse me. Good in that regard. Has great play there, and he's got some decent wide receivers to put with those three. So he's going to put a nice lineup out every week. At wide receiver, you're looking at Deontay Johnson and Devonta Smith are your top two, maybe Marquise Brown in there too. But he's also got a few other guys that definitely could hit. Allen Robinson with the Giants, Quentin Johnston with the Chargers, Chase Claypool with Buffalo. Somebody's got to be that guy. So any one of them guys hits and you're good. He's got Rashee Rice on his taxi squad. Instantly pull him up and he's one of your starters. Probably playing him over Deontay Johnson or even Marquise Brown. So, Rashee Rice is definitely in there. And he's also got Jaden Reed on his taxi squad as well. So this team is good. It's in great shape. Got George Kittle at tight end. Like I said, the weakness is the quarterback spot. So that's our number 6 team, Crystal Meth. Definitely a playoff member of this league. Now we have 7 playoff teams. So anything from the 4 to 10 range is playoff fringe playoffs. So coming at 6, this is what I think is definitely a playoff team for Crystal Meth. Number 5 is the St. John's River Rats. Paxi has, one year where he went undefeated. Is a defending champion, not from last year, but is a champion from this league. So he knows what it takes to win the game. This ranking definitely takes into account, he has Nick Chubb on his roster, and then you're banking on the fact that he is going to rebound from that injury and produce for you. Quarterback-wise, he has Lamar Jackson and Tua. When you've got that rushing quarterback, that's automatically gives you a few point edge over everybody else. And then to go with Nick Chubb at the running back, he has Isaiah Pacheco and Devin Singletary. So even if Chubb doesn't come back, you've got those two. And then he added Alexander Madison and Cordero Patterson in the auction league, so that he has a couple other guys to plug and play when need be. So definitely you want Chubb. You're hoping Chubb comes back, but if he doesn't, it's not the death of this team because he's got the other two in Pacheco and Singletary. At wide receivers, he went and added Odell Beckham in the auction. He's got Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill. Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill. That's pretty much the bulk of them. He's got some other guys, Kadarius Toney, to go with Odell Beckham and Diggs and Tyreek Hill. Ray McLeod, because the injury to I'm drawing a blank. The injury to Rondell Moore has made it so somebody has to be that number 2 in Atlanta. Could be McLeod. Took a chance on some guys, but he's got enough pieces here between the running backs and the receivers, and Tyreek Hill's lights out, Lamar Jackson lights out. That I think this team is going to be a playoff team. At tight end, he's going to run Dalton Kincaid, who I think is going to light it up in Buffalo. Somebody's got to catch the passes, and he had a stellar year last year as a rookie. Last year he had 73 catches last year, and now there's no Stephon Diggs there. So somebody's got to take those extra catches. So even a 10% uptick puts him around 80 catches, 800 yards and 4 to 5 touchdowns. That's a good season for a tight end. So anyways, that's our number 5 team, St. John's River Rats. Number 4, Clay Cole's Georgia Goons. He took advantage of Lansing and got that trade for C.J. Stroud. Has C.J. Stroud and Matt Stafford as his 2 quarterbacks. Fantastic there, and he's set with Stroud for several years to come. Stafford's got a couple of years left in him, so you'll have to get another one down the line a little bit, but Stroud is definitely your guy in a 1 QB league. Some of the Goons players are getting a little bit older, but he's still got, like I said, I've got him at number 4, so clearly I think that these older players still can produce. He's got a little sprinkle of some young youth players in there too, but we're looking at Derrick Henry, now plays for the Ravens. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. Aaron Jones plays for the Vikings. Also, I think he's going to have a good year. And Rachaad White for the Bucks. Between those three, you're going to run those three every week. You only need a couple wide receivers, and he's got a couple good ones sitting on his bench waiting to run with those three. So you run Henry, you run Jones, you run White, and then at wide receiver he's got Keenan Allen and Mike Evans. They can play every week. And then he's got some depth players in Tank Dell and Tyler Lockett, some of those other players that he has on the roster. He's got Khalil Shakir on his taxi squad, who I think also is going to have a good year. So pretty good team for Clay. Tight end, Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was a top 5 tight end. He's also got Juwan Johnson. Might have weeks where he plays 2 tight ends. So overall, pretty good team. And that is our number 4 team, the Georgia Goons. Number 3 is the Chesaning Indians, also a one-time champion. Definitely got really good quarterback play in Burrow and Prescott. He's got some money wrapped up in that position, like $38 between the two. He's got Michael Penix also on his taxi squad, which is awesome. But still, when one goes down, you've got another one just sitting there waiting to go in. So that's a definitely good problem to have for him. Again, another team that's getting older, getting expensive. He's trying to put together one last hurrah to make a run. And being ranked number 3, you're in striking distance. You definitely can make that move. Running back wise, we have Austin Eckler. He's had on his roster for 7 years. He's gotten a lot out of Eckler. You don't even need him to be a superstar at this point. Just produce a little bit. Produce enough to be able to play on a consistent basis. Has Tony Pollard, and aside from that, those are the two, obvious starters. He's got a whole bunch of other guys that he's got like 10 or 12 running backs on this roster, and they can get playing time. The playing time is there for somebody, and somebody's going to emerge from this group. He's got Matt Breida, Rico Dowdell, Justice Hill, Trey Sermon, Travion Williams. So he's got lots of guys that somebody's is going to emerge and get to play more than what we think they're going to at this point in the season. The strength of this team, though, is not the running back. Aside from the quarterback, it's the running back is the weakest spot for him. And when you got Tony Pollard and Eckler, he only has to really play Tony Pollard because he can run 4 receivers with what he's got on his receiving corps. He's got Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, and Jamison Williams. Any 5 of those players can play for him on a given week. What would obviously be good for him maybe would be Brandon Ayuk going to another team, so they would have Samuel and Ayuk playing on separate teams, but maybe not. I mean, they both produced 200-plus point totals for the season last year, and that's playing on the same team. So maybe him just staying in San Francisco is what's best, for fantasy-wise, than rather have him going somewhere else. At the tight end position, old reliable, had him for 7 years also, Travis Kelce. So this team is still poised to win championships. It's still in contention. It's still on top of the league. So that's our number 3 team, the Chesaning Indians. The number 2 team coming in is our defending champion. It's my Chicago Fire team. I'll tell you why I have, my team is very, very good. I like a lot of what I have here, but it got expensive. I had to move on from some people. I traded for an upgrade at quarterback because if you remember, I had a pretty terrible quarterback in the championship game last year due to injuries and all that. I still have Justin Herbert, but I have Josh Allen now. Definite upgrade there, but I have the money wrapped up into him. He's a $30 starting quarterback, but definitely could be worth it. Running back wise, big 3, Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson. Those are 3 of the top 4 or 5 running backs in all the league. So definitely loaded at the position. Tried to pick up a couple of guys that literally are not on a team right now and just hope that somebody sticks. I've got Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook, and then we've got Malik Davis from Dallas, who had 0 points last year. But if any one of those sticks, gets some carries somewhere, that helps out with a little depth. If not, you cut them, you move on. So works out good there. To go with those 3 backs, got a great receiving core, spearheaded by Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb. Those are the top 2 on this roster. Also have Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, and DK Metcalf. Love all those guys. Surrounded them with some depth plays like Mecole Hardman, Rondell Moore, who's injured for the entire year, but got him super cheap with Atlanta. He'll go to the injured reserve for the entire year for me, and he'll just sit there for the year. Also added Demarcus Robinson with my transition tag. So love the receiver depth there. Nothing spectacular on my taxi squad except maybe Trey Benson. Definitely that's another running back that could produce for me. Tight end, Sam Laporta, which I traded for late last year to go with Mark Andrews and David Njoku. I love having that tight end depth as well, just like Aliquippa does. So good at pretty much every position. This is a fantastic team. It's definitely poised to make another run and a potential run to repeat as champion. But in order for that to happen, we're going to have to go through our number 1 team, and that's the South Park House. Mike Monroe has done very well at putting a team together. He's young. He's got draft picks. Where some of my guys are getting older, Christian McCaffrey and Devontae Adams, his guys are definitely younger. He doesn't have a lot of aging guys and has a lot of draft picks to fill them in. Jalen Hurts is his starting quarterback. He has Drake May on his taxi, picked up Spencer Rattler. So Jalen Hurts is the guy, if he were to go down, he could struggle with Drake May as a starter. Could. And when I say could, when you hear the rest of the roster, he probably could still win the league without a quarterback. Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor. Stellar running back play right there from those 3. Surrounded him with plays like Chris Rodriguez and Royce Freeman, and he's got Will Shipley on his taxi, so he's got guys that can fit in. But those 3, Gibbs, Barkley, and Taylor, are going to be the guys that are going to be in and out of his rotation all year long. Wide receivers, where he's loaded. On his active roster, he has Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Jordan Addison. That's his active roster. Sitting on his taxi squad, he still has Marvin Harrison Jr., who probably starts over half of those players that I already mentioned, and Rome Odunze. So this team is stacked. He's still got a bunch of draft picks in the next couple of years, so he's going to only just keep getting younger. His tight end is Kyle Pitts, who he also has Dalton Schultz, but Kyle Pitts will probably be the guy, and there's no more excuses for Pitts. If he can't get it done with Kirk Cousins, then he's just going to be labeled as that bust forever. But I think he gets that done this year with Kirk Cousins. So team is spectacular. It is definitely the team to beat going into this 2024-2025 season. Hope you guys enjoyed this rankings video. I know it's been a while. Sorry if I rambled a little bit. Definitely want to do a few more of these in the future. So if anybody wants to do a tandem after a week or something like that, we can get on here, and it's a lot more fun when there's 2 of us talking back and forth and not me just talking to a computer screen. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you on the next time. Thanks for listening. This has been All Things Fantasy Football, and I'm Richard Keck. Have a good day.